10 to 15 minute overview, looking at what Sovelia Inventor is and how it might be useful to you. So I'll stop sharing and Bora, it's over to you.
Thank you, Tim. I will try to see if I can share my screen. And how did that went?
Yes,
you can see it.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, this is a short demo, so I will just try to do the main things. I will please go into Sovelia Inventor on sovelia.com. Have a look at those videos here. We try to give an overview over the different functionality. And I will use it a little in this demo since the time is a little short. So let's just get started with the product. First of all, we have a property editor, much like Marco showed you earlier. And this property editor is, you can expand or collapse these different sessions. You can dock it like a normal Autodesk application in here. And you can switch between it by using shortcuts. Control Q is a standard shortcut we use for this. So this is just how you prefer to use it. I prefer to keep it open like this and just use Control Q, so I just take it away when I don't need it. Well, so a property handler, that's the first thing we can look at. And we can set this up to automatically measure components. Everything who comes from content center or a sheet metal plate, well, Inventor know what it is and we know what it is, so we don't need to tell the product what this is because we know this is a steel plate. We have also done some adaptations here to use some of the Inventor functionality that Autodesk have, but we cannot use it. Like when you set a material here, and if you use Autodesk method, you get this long list, but inside the material library, for instance, you can categorize your materials. And in Sovelia Inventor, we can select the categories and then set the material from the category. There are different property editor windows for the different types of components. And of course, we have drop-down lists and can set mandatory length or text type. We can also have language lookup and stuff like that in it. So there's a lot of different functionality here. We can set sheet metal thickness and categories and so on directly in the property editor. So, and in addition to that, every file type in Inventor has something called Sovelia Custom, where we can add your code by configuration. We don't have to do a lot of programming. We can just hook up your code. There are 8 possible placeholders for each type of component. So that's okay. If I go and look at the part, you see it's a little different what properties because they are per component. And we can of course make drawing and publish to other formats by just selecting here, and Autodesk has some of this functionality, but we think we do it better because we can add parts list, we can add everything into this drawing when we create it. So it's quite a strong tool. Let's see. And the same, of course, we move our way up to assemblies, and we have a different setting for assemblies here. We can, for instance, if I want to multi-select here and I say, well, all those guys here are maybe defined wrong. Maybe they should be defined as a plate and they're not. Maybe they should have another material, another, well, whatever we want to do. And we can apply and just add this information into it, and it's written down to the part in one smack. So every common property you can just set directly like this. Another good thing here, if when you want to check something, you check your model here. Let me show you all the instances in this model here. And okay, I'm finished with that part. So I just turn it off. What happens now is that you often destroy your tediously built up design view, but Sovelia Inventor creates a property editor design view, and it will be created every time you start to use this function. We create a property editor view, so you can at any time go back to your original view here. So we can go back to the default view. That's a great little functionality that you learn to love when you do this. And of course, it's we have those other functionalities here. You see this starts to pop up a little more boxes here. So of course we can have functionality where we can make drawing like I showed you with the part, but we can make part drawings, which means if I press this button here, it will create drawings from all the parts in this assembly, and we can sort out standard components and so on. We can draw plates. It's a functionality that will pick all the plates for an assembly and sort them on material and thickness and other properties. And of course, publish to other formats, center of gravity, small things. Here is a Sovelia weld. I will show you afterwards. That's what it's for. And the same goes when we come to cancel. It's when we come to a drawing too. Of course, we can use the properties in a drawing. We can copy properties from model into drawing and so on. And you see here, I sort everything from these buttons, can change title block and stickers and so on just by one click of the button here. And of course, we have those can publish to other formats and can link boom lists if you create parts on following sheets and so on. So there's a lot of functionality. We have predefined parts lists, so you can just click and insert. We have revision cloud in drawing, and of course we have center of gravity in drawing. So there's a helpful tools here for the inventor user to build models. Another important thing that I will mention is there are something called components here. I will not go so deep into it, but when we are creating components here, it's very fast to use. Most for people who use bottom-up modeling, which many still do. Just this small job by inserting a plate, creating a plate which is good defined with properties and correct measurements and so on. It's quite fast and easy to just insert here. So you have a lot of different plates and you can just insert them. It takes me 1 second to insert a component from the components library. And if I just should model a plate with 4 holes in, it will take me a lot of time. But here it takes me 1 second. And of course, there's a lot of other components here, stairs and handrails and so on. And with the time we have available, it's not possible to dig too far into it. But I want to show you these videos. If you're interested to see everything that is in Sovelia Inventor, go into the website, have a look, and see what's in there. Since I mentioned Sovelia welding, I think I will show you what it is, because I had a lot of questions about this functionality. It's not really what we do is that we add weld information into the model. We don't draw any welds and so on, but we click lines, we get the measurement, we add the thickness, and we just number the weld based on what type of weld it is. and can do that in many different ways. We just select, measure, add in, and so on. So it's quite fast. And at the end, what we achieve by doing this is that we can do something that Inventor really can't do. We can measure these welds. We can add this information into a drawing quite easily, and we can really create a list of the welds, and this list can be exported out, and we can sort the welds on how many welds and where they are located. So this is used for controlling your welded constructions, where you can send this out and they can use this list to do NDT testing of welds to identify them. So please have a look here, take a deep dive into the functionality and see what's in it. There's also a basic overview video here on the web page. But this is an effectivity tool for Inventor. It's used a lot in Scandinavia, at least, and our users are very happy with this add-in. It can be used together with the CAD add-in if you want to use the Sovelia components and the other functionality, which is more engineering-wise. You can still use Sovelia Inventor together with Sovelia PLM and the other things. So Tim, I guess I've spent my time, isn't that right?
Yes, that's wonderful. Thank you. Right on time as well, right on cue.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, I will unshare my screen.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, so as you can see there, some great functionality, and we're trying to lead you towards Sovelia.com as being the place to go and look for information. Again, feedback, if there's something missing or you want to see more in a particular area, then please let us know. Please get in touch. Your feedback is important and essential. So that is functionality for Inventor. Again, Inventor is one of the CAD tools that a lot of our PLM customers use, and it's really great to add that extra functionality in. Also, one of our other tools that a lot of people use is Vault, and Vault is used a heck of a lot by our customers, especially kind of larger corporate customers. It might be Vault Workgroup, Vault Professional. They want some life cycle in there, or they want to use the functionality of the copying and the backups that we can have within Vault. I noticed I've got it wrong there.
Yeah,
I've given him the wrong slide. Let's do it. What an idiot. There we go. Let's put it there. So one of the products and one of the things that we have is Sovelia Vault, which adds some functionality on top of the Autodesk Vault. And the product manager for that is Bjorn. And I've asked Bjorn to just give us a quick 10 to 15 minute overview of the features and functions that we might use in Vault. Also, I'll be discussing this in the next session. We've used Vault as part of one of our solutions, so I'll be investigating it in a bit more depth in a very specific way later. But for now, I'll stop sharing my screen, and Bjorn, it's over to you.
thanks. So let me try to share the correct screen. It should be that one. Is that a PowerPoint presentation? And can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you. Yep,
And you can see,
we can see it. Yeah,
good, good.
With the correct title.
And the correct title, yeah. It's not easy. Everything is called Sovelia something. All right, my name is Bjorn. I'm the product owner for Sovelia Vault, and I've been working with this product for a long time, since its inception, basically. I think 2011 was the first version, something like that. So it's been a while. So I'd like to start with a quote from Jan at Parker Hannafin. A good quote about Sovelia Vault. And he says that Sovelia Vault lets us do these processes in an automated way. It's highly customizable and really tailors the environment towards better efficiency. And there simply is no better alternative. That's some good praise, I would say. I'm proud. So Vault is a PDM system, and it uses workflows to do everything. So when you go from work in progress to be checked, you probably need some signatures on the files, and an email needs to be sent, and going to approval, same thing. You need to sign it again, who checked it, and then for approval, you need to make sure that the approver is somebody else than the checker. Right, so there's a property compliance sort of deal going on there. And then maybe you want to send it for external review as well, and then you need a PDF going with that. When it's released, you need additional documentation, all the PDFs, all the maybe AutoCAD drawing, DXF files, and so on. And of course, it needs the date it's released, so it's properly signed. Now it's really important to get these signatures in place. And you also need to inform other systems like the ERP, possibly send those documents to there as well. When it goes to obsolete, then probably you need to stamp the file, and again, the ERP needs to know that you shouldn't use these parts or these models anymore. It's not just the workflow in Vault that we can control. With Sovelia Vault, of course, it's important inside Vault, but the downstream systems need the information, and it doesn't matter if it's a supplier that needs the part drawings, or you send them to the shop floor, or the ERP system needs to know what to purchase and what raw materials to get, and so on. And most customers need to do the same things, the same basic things at least. You need to sign the documents and 2 or 4 eyes check, automate some tasks in Inventor, get the bill of materials or a data export for drawings, generating data. Batch editing is something that's really useful. Vault, it doesn't really do anything out of the box. It does very little out of the box. It handles revision and workflows, right? And it does it well, and it handles the files, but anything else. So data administration, by taking a batch of files, maybe we use it ourselves for migrating between versions at customers, or if you need to, maybe you bought another company and you want to merge those data sets together, then we can actually use Sovelia Vault to just do the batch migration, data administration, basically. Do we need to publish a PDF now for everything and put it into to the ERP system or PLM system, whatever? And we can do that now. We can do that with Sovelia Vault. And monitoring the job processor. Vault, if you want to do something other than just basic workflows, the job processor is needed. And if you've worked with that, you know it's a kind of a love and hate situation. It's great, it's powerful, it does what it needs to do with Vault, but it's also something you need to keep an eye on, monitoring it, and the jobs, make sure they don't go stale or get resent, or if something breaks, you need to send an email. And we have a long list of features. This is a short list, basically. We can do secondary file formats and BOM exports, data exports. We can run our logic rules. You enter them and choose when you want to run it. Some property handling, customer tables. Drawing list is it's an interesting feature. that well, it's a big time saver. Maybe it's the biggest time saver of all the specific features. So when you have an assembly, you want to collect all the part drawings or sub-assembly drawings. Doing that manually is going to take forever. You need to click down and navigate in Vault and then click used, where used, and up and down. And then you get a drawing, then you need to decide what to do with it. But with drawing lists, the functionality, it takes about 5 minutes. You just get the assembly. It produces a report in Excel with all the properties you want and drawings, and then you can run batch jobs on it. So if you want to create PDFs and export them to somebody, you can do that. So it saves hours. It's a really good feature. I know Börre likes this feature a lot. Yeah, there's a Fusion lifecycle connection and a Beam 360 connection as well. It works alongside Sovelia Vault and Vault. So it's an automation platform, I like to call it, and we can do a very small task. There's a lot of small tasks we can do, and we call it action in the program. And by themselves, they're important. You need to sign it, yes, and you need a PDF, yes. But if you can't put it into the workflow, if you can't control that workflow, then it's sort of useless. You can do it one by one, but then it's not automated. So where the power really comes in, one part of the power, I should say, there's another power move too. So the first one is that we can collect these actions, as many as you want, and you set them in a priority. You say, first, you need to sign the thing. When it's released, the most important is to sign it, to lock it in that state, and then you can produce the DXF or PDFs. And when that's all done, you alert the ERP system. And then you can choose also if you want to run it locally at the client. You have more control. It's direct feedback. But if it's something that takes a long time, I know some DWF files take 40-50 minutes to do, then you want to send it to the job processor instead of waiting. So you can really control it in a great way. And of course, you can have as many action sets as you want. And normally you create one per state transition. So if you have a really advanced flow, you have a lot of action sets that do specific things on specific times. And you can also define what person has what jobs. You can have different profiles, which is nice then. So the other really powerful thing is that we can configure everything easily, yes, but when that falls short, we have custom actions. Not all customers would use it, but when we reach the limits of configuration, if it's just a small tweak that we haven't got in the product and we think it's not really useful to do that in the product, or if it's something else, then we can do, we call it custom action. It's basically a little code snippet, C# or Visual Basic, and you hook that into Sovelia Vault. You hook that into the workflow. It pops up in the configuration. You add it to your workflow. Very simple, and the users get it then next time they log on. Because it's a lot smaller, as I wrote there, 5 to 6 times faster, it's maintainable too. And a big part about customized solutions is, yeah, you get exactly what you want, but it's a big cost. It's initial cost, but then every time you're going to upgrade, it's usually a big cost too, because you need to do due diligence and actual migration and so on. So because it's so small, and it uses a lot of the Sovelia Vault code to do all the tricky stuff, it's very cheap to maintain year after year, and 99.9% of all the custom actions we do, it's just ported to the next version. So it's a matter of an hour or two, maybe. A few limitations. I was going to tell you about an example, and I know Tim's going to bring that up next, I'm pretty sure. And we actually added then Navisworks, a whole new CAD system to create DWFs as a custom action. And while it would have been possible a bit longer time, then we couldn't have, now it can just be hooked into the workflow. You add it easily. And that's just not possible without the Sovelia Vault and the custom actions. How much time do I have left, Tim? I forgot to start my timer.
You're about there. If there's anything extra or critical you need to mention, I'd say you probably got
I'm pretty done. It's all the USPs then.
Yeah, cool.
So it's super configurable as a PDM system needs to be, and where that configuration stops, then we can customize it. So it's extremely flexible, but we have full control thanks to the configuration being a program in itself. And so that you don't do typos that easily, and it just hooks in. So it can be, at the same time, it's efficient and effective. So we can do a lot of things with a little effort. There, I'm done, Tim.
That's great, Bjorn. Thank you very much. Yeah, super. On time as well. I don't know what's happening. Both of you on time. That's really, really, it's really great. Thank you.
Thanks.
I'll just switch back to my screen.
I'll add the video for the drawing list. Börra made it for me, so I'll add it to the chat if you're interested. It's a nice demo of it.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Okay, so functionality around Vault there. So we've now covered Inventor and we've covered Vault. Then we we're always looking at improving and customers are always asking us about new functionality and new ways to go and new things they want to do with the system. And kind of as a result of that, and also as a result of some of the work that we've done internally, we come to a new product, or a relatively new product, that we have out in the marketplace. And this is really taking on the visualization side of things that people really want to do now. No longer do people want to see spreadsheets and lines of information. We want to really visually see the information. And with everything that's happened in the last couple of years regarding pandemics and things like that, actually getting together and looking at a computer screen is quite hard. So finding ways of visualizing and looking at the information is really, really, it's really, really useful. So I've asked Martin to come and have a look and show us about the solution that he's, I know, very proud of and has had a really large part in the development of. So Martin, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Cool. So you've got 15 minutes to talk about Sovelia Visualizer, and I'm going to stop presenting my screen and you can then start presenting your screen. Good luck.
Thank you. So there we go.
Yep.
Okay. So yep. First of all, I'm gonna give you a very, very quick piece of information on what this is. This is a tool that makes it possible to get the data from Inventor through Sovelia out into a viewer where you can look at it in real-time 3D, but also in VR and AR if you want to do that. Because not everyone may have Inventor and not everyone may understand what they're looking at when it comes to sizes and stuff. So then VR and AR could help you get things into scale 1:1 and so on. And it's a very simple tool. That's also very important. There is no difficult settings or difficult things to do. You just export your data and then you look at it in the viewer. So I'm going to show you what it does and how it does it. So let's get started. So when you install the Sovelia visualizer, you're getting a new tab in Inventor called Sovelia here. We have 4 buttons and a drop down, so it's very, very simple. We have some settings. First of all, which axis you want to use up, because different companies use different axis as up, and then we can change that. But we can also set all the different eye properties, what we want to export, because we can export everything, but there might be things that you don't want to export for various reasons. You don't want to share with customers or other people, and also a little bit time consuming. If you have thousands of eye properties, it will make the export longer. So you can choose what you want. It's simple as that. So this is all the settings we have actually. And to actually export anything, we just press the little export button. There are 2 ways to export. I'm going to show you both. There is one that just exports the data, and then there is a sync that actually doesn't really just export it. It exports and then keeps the line open. So if you do changes, they will run to the server, and then you can see them live. But if we just want to export something, we press the export button, and the window opened up in the wrong screen. So here you go. Once you're here, you can choose if you want to put it on your local machine, or if you have a network server somewhere where you want to put the data, or a cloud solution. So this depends on who you want to be able to see this. If someone needs to be able to see this and it's on your local machine, you need to be on the same network. If you want to share it with someone in the company, we might have a network server somewhere, because we may be in different offices, for example. Or if you want to show customers, you can use the cloud function. We simply create one, and I'm running local now. Time-wise, it doesn't really matter if you're using cloud or local. The time difference is marginal. So I'm just creating a new project here, and this is now created onto the Reflect server, the Sovelia server that we're pushing the data to. Pressing export, and now it will push this little model here that we have. It's not that big. It's 449 parts, but I'm using it because it's quick. It takes 6 seconds. If you have larger parts, obviously it will take longer, but it's still quite quick to do this. And now on the right hand side, we have the viewer. So if I refresh this, we get the project that we just created, and I click that, and now we have the model that we can look at. So once in the viewer, we can then obviously just use it like this. We can look around, but we can also go down here, and this is when it gets interesting. And there's a VR button here. You click this, and your model will be in scale 1:1 in a VR headset if you have one connected to your computer. Or if you're running this from an iPad, for example, you can use the AR function and place it on the table or on the floor, or you can match the machine to the physical room that you're in, or whatever you want to do. And we have a couple of other small features in the viewer too. We can look at the properties. So this is what I said. All the properties that you have will be exported if you choose them to be. But this is what we choose to export from this one. So you can read the information here. We can do some rough measurements just to get. It's not 100% correct because this is data is polygonized, so there will be a little bit difference here. We can hide things if we want to look into something. Just it might be interesting to look inside of things. So then we can hide parts. We also have this ghost mode, which will make everything a little bit transparent so you can see through. Maybe more interesting if you have walls and stuff and you want to see pipes and so on, where they continue behind the walls. So this is the viewer. It's very simple, right? You load your data from your project and then you can look at it. That's all you can do for now. There is a new version coming soon, I hope, or maybe after the summer with more functionality. But then we should have like multi-VR capabilities, so you can be several people in the same models and so on. But let's continue with the existing stuff. So let's try this. So this is the Start Sync button instead, and this does the same as the exporter. We create a new project then, and we export the geometry again with all the properties. But what happens now is we're not closing the connection to the server. We're keeping the line open. So if I now do changes here, let's just load it here too. Load this in the viewer. There you go. So it's the same model. And if I now go into my viewer, and there's a little Sovelia button up here with a pause on it. Now it's running. So now both inventor and the viewer is connected to the server. So if I go in and change something here, let's say this one, for example, let's say that we have a discussion about this. So let's make this smaller. It's not instant, as in it's gonna change when we do the change, because usually when you change things in Inventor, you want to change more than one thing before it's something you want to show. So we actually have this now on save. So when I save now, the file will be saved. The changes will be pushed to the server and will be visible in the viewer immediately. So if you're sitting with a customer somewhere in the world, you can do changes simultaneously as they are looking at it, and you can try different things together. We also have some quick materials, because usually this model is pretty nice. The rubber is black and the metal is yellow, but usually when you're drawing this, you're using high contrast colors like pinks and blues and yellows. Some customers may have a problem with that. So we've added a few materials, just a quick list of basic materials. So this should be rubber then, right? So there's a rubber black. So nothing changes in Inventor because we don't want to mess up your model. But when you export this now and load it, let's change some more things here. Let's make this one red. There you go. And if I now export this to a new project, it will have some nicer materials, and this is just for show. It doesn't really change anything in your model. It's in reality just a property that we're adding. So you can see now it looks a little bit different, just to please the customers if they have issues with how the material is looking. So that was basically it. It's very simple, very quick to use, and the good thing is if once you get this onto your customer's computer or your own computer, whatever, you can look at it in VR, or if you're using the iPad, you can use AR. So it's very, very quick and powerful. And if you're using this with the cloud, all the things I just did with the changing stuff will more or less be instant. Even if you're running through cloud, your upload will be very quick, and the changes will go through to the other side really, really quickly, more or less instantly. So it's a very good way to work together with customers and to be able to interact in the design together before you start making physical objects, because once you start making physical objects, it's going to be very expensive to do changes. So I guess that was it. I was quicker than my 15 minutes this time.
I've got some questions for you. So the viewer that you're running there on the right hand side, you're on your workstation here, aren't you? Is this a Windows computer?
Yes.
Okay, cool. But I know that we also have an app, don't we, in the App Store?
Yes. Yes. So if you're running it on an iPad, for example, it will look the same, but you will have the AR capability instead of VR.
And what does that AR capability give you? What's the difference between what you're seeing on the screen now compared to the AR version?
So what you get is this conveyor placed on the floor or on a table, if you want to look at it. But the main thing is that you get it in scale 1-to-1. And if you're about to add a machine into a shop floor or whatever, you can actually place the machine where it should be, and you can walk around and have a look how it will fit into the place where it's supposed to be. And you can get feedback from the people who's actually going to work with it. You know, this area is too tight, we need to move it 1 meter to the left, or this won't work because we have a big truck that needs to come through or whatever. So you can get it into the real environment. Fantastic. And in scale 1-to-1.
Fantastic. And then headsets as well. You can have headsets to look at this model, can't you?
Yes, VR headsets.
Okay, so that's kind of a fully immersive.
Yes, and again, scale 1-to-1. So you can actually walk around this machine and get a feel for how big it is. And with the different tools we have, you can hide things and have a look inside and start thinking on how it would be to service this machine in reality. You know, is there something in the way that we can move to make the maintenance easier? How about tool clearances? You know, if we have a big tool that we need to get into the machine, will that work? And so on.
Fantastic, absolutely brilliant. And we've started to look at that side of things as well, haven't we? Not through this tool, but other tools that we have around training and maintenance and things like that.
Yes.
So are we taking this same data and then we're using it and we're adding some extra functionality to it to mean that you can set up training manuals or training environments to train people virtually?
Yes. So we can use this to and then reconsume this data into a training scenario or whatever you want to do, education or training, depending on the use case. So if you hire new staff and they need to get trained on putting things together in the right order, we can do that in VR, or we can have the machine that's making the part, and then you can have the service people train on the machine before it arrives, and you can also have people educated on the machine before the machine arrives, so the uptime, start time will be shorter, and also uptime will be longer, because if you can train on a procedure 10 times without actually closing down the machine, when you close it down, you will be faster in repairing it.
Fantastic. And I know it's not an area that we're looking at today, but in the Sovelia family, then we have another product called Sovelia Configurator. And I know between us, we've started to look at maybe how we could use this technology in Sovelia Configurator, haven't we? So
yeah,
really early stages yet of that, but we've seen some previews and one or two things of how we could basically configure a product and then show it to a customer as the configuration, which is, I find, very exciting. So expect lots of things to come in this area. It's an expanding area for us, but for Sovelia and just in general, you know, how we view data, how we look at data, how we manipulate data, it is really changing, I think. And we've looked at those kind of classic ways of looking at data this morning, the idea that we have HTML browsers and we have ways of looking at the data. But this, to me, is a really exciting area as to, you know, where we might go in the future and what we might look at and how we might get information around the products that we're making and working with and servicing and all of those kind of good stuff and producing and things like that. So really, really interesting stuff. Do we have is that a question? A hand up? Yeah. Have you got a?
Yes, I was wondering, will the visualizer be available in HTML? So we have could have a viewer in the Sovelia PLM, maybe in the future?
Yeah, it's really, really early doors yet, but that's certainly the way that we're looking. we have a number of technology hurdles or milestones to get across. But Martin and I have already started looking at how we might include this technology into Sovelia PLM in the future. But it's really early doors. You know, I would look, earliest would be maybe 6 months ahead if something goes really, really well. But more likely, you know, 12 months from now, you might see the first glimpses of this. And even then, it's not going to be, it's going to be special. You know, you might need an extra server to render on, or you might need an extra server to process the information. You know, maybe we might be limited on the size and model that we could have, or you know, something around those lines. But certainly, yes, it's an area that we're really keen, and I know it's something that we've in the past in the roadmap we've looked at. But at the moment, it's really hard to do, and we want to make sure that we get it right. And that we have a roadmap moving forward, that as we want to add functionality and increase the functionality and the connection to Sovelia PLM and the data, that we can support that moving forward. So yeah, good question. Yeah, watch this space, I think, is the answer. Okay, so I'll switch back to me. Thank you. That was really great. Thank you all three of you. Hopefully it's now given our customers you know, some more ideas around the Sovelia family that we have, and other ways potentially that we could help them in terms of their data and managing their data and their productivity. So we've got one more session to come, problem solving, the one I really like, where we're going to look at problems that we've had or customers have had and how we've solved them specifically. So the information that we've looked at so far is around the core product, but we want to have a look at the future in the next session around some specific things that that we've done for people in the future. Okay, yeah, I'll come to that later. Thank you. Yeah, so just as a note, Lotta's added there. She's shared with you in the chat for this session. We have the what do you call it? The voting. What did you think?
Feedback.
The feedback. Sorry, yeah. What did you think to the session? So if you click on that, it'll take you over to the survey. And you can then put in the code. Again, it's a unique code for this session. So if I just go with that and put that in there.
I'm sharing my screen.
You're sharing your screen. There we go. Brilliant. Yeah, okay, so there's the 3 sections. Are they hot or not hot? Was it of interest? Or you can choose to pass if you want to. So go and give us some feedback. Let us know what you think. Super duper. Brilliant. Again, remember, it's completely anonymous, so we have no idea. It just gives us an indication as to maybe what, if we host more days like this, what we might show in the future and where your interests may lie. Okay, so we're going to have a break now for 15 minutes. Sorry, for 30 minutes. And after that break, we'll start with the last session of the day. And that last session of the day is all around solving problems. So we're going to take 3 case studies and look at specific problems that you might have, or that you may have but not know how to solve, or what we did for customers and how we solved it, how we use the technology that we have and use the different products that we have to solve problems. And hopefully some of the problem solving that we've done, you should be able to use in terms of looking forward to problems that you have, or how to solve problems that you may be asked to do as part of your everyday life. So 30 minutes time, go and have a break and a coffee, and we'll see you for that last session. Thank you very much.